Welcome to On Your Tangent Podcast. I'm BJ, with me is Jeff and Gary, and there's a handy nuclear device driving on top of the podcast. Why? Because we watched Ghostbusters 2016, and now we want to talk about it.
It's always good when a nuclear device becomes handy at key moments.
BJ, do we really want to talk about this one?
You do, apparently.
I mean, no one listens to the podcast. We could just not talk about something completely different. No one would notice, right?
When the choice of this movie came up, you had a visceral reaction. And by chance, came down the flip of a coin, this movie got picked. I gave you the option of vetoing it. And you said, no, it will probably do me good, said Gary, to talk about a movie I hate with every fiber of my being. So
I guess
in a way,
BJ...
even though the movie was my original choice, Jeff is the one that I believe I gave you guys a good option and a evil option, and Jeff said evil right away. And then
okay.
So basically what I'm saying is that it's not it's not my fault.
They told you
he only provided.
They told me they fixed it.
He provided a button that destroyed everything. He's not responsible for those who press it. And we end up with this movie.
Jeff?
I am not... I am just the person that brought Zool out. I am not the one that thought of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I had to take door number one. The one where he said something terrible was there. It's part of human curiosity.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I will tell you, there's one joke at the very beginning, and the character, I don't know their names. The first character we meet, of the Ghostbusters, the first girl Ghostbuster.
I can't remember any names either, but I will.
Yeah. She's the professor.
Erin, I think.
Yeah, probably. But she meets this woman whose opinion is always different from hers, and she has to change what her opinion is. She'll say, "Oh, that's wonderful," and the lady's like, "No, that's terrible." It's quirky and funny, and then she tries to give the guy who is I guess a manager or some sort of administrative guy at the school, tries to lean in for a kiss. A polite, friendly one, and he kind of leans back, and so she kisses his collar instead. I am okay with that kind of humor. It's just simple, funny humor, and at this moment, we should be establishing the character, and we're learning that this character has awkward things that happens to her all the time, and that's funny. The thing is these characters, to me, they just kind of are all... There's not really much content to them. They're all quirky, strange. I guess one character was supposed to be kind of like Egon a little bit, but more of a spastic, crazy kind. Egon was quiet and reserved, but also odd. And she's eccentric, wants to make things explode a lot. And so there's not really a straight character to play off these all ridiculous characters.
There's not a lot of restraint in this movie.
And I feel like movies a lot of times have become like this, where people want to see overly energetic people on screen. And it's because it kind of reminds me of Goonies. When you watch Goonies, it's amazing how all those kids are so loud and energetic. Yet, I think it works for Goonies because those are kids and they have that energy. But for this, there's something missing about it. And I think it's not having enough straight people.
For these people who are supposedly adults.
Yeah, they're adults, but... So the original Ghostbusters, Venkman would have these lines, but Ray would just look at him afterwards. There was rational thought that went with the crazy thought. And sometimes they reversed roles where, it's fun. But anyway, go ahead. I'm talking too much.
I was just gonna say, and you guys are free to disagree with me, but in the original Ghostbusters, there was kind of two straight men and then two weird guys, like oh, what crap?
Winston?
Ernie Hudson's character. What's his name?
Winston.
Winston. That's it. Like Peter and Winston are the straight men, and then like Ray and Egon are the two crazy guys, right? In this one, they're all crazy guys. There's no straight man.
Right. And in the original, they at least would take turns. They'd be like, okay, Ray's the rational one while, another character goes off. But in this one, it's just like with them all crazy together. The scene just feels garbled.
Even the receptionist is weird. Why? Why does your receptionist have to be a crazy wild act too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gary.
I gave this a perfectly negative score. -5. That doesn't come from nowhere, guys. What I think has created such a horrible reaction inside of me, that genuine hatred for this, is the fact that I can tell that the people who made this movie loved the original, right? They were fans of the original. And they said, we're going to study everything that the original was and then try to make that again as well as we can. And you can see elements of that. It's not just the fact that it's called Ghostbusters and there's so much in there, right? You can see also elements of, so the original cast, a lot of them were alumni of Saturday Night Live. The same with this cast. The original there, it's in New York and had very much a New York of that time period vibe. Unfortunately, this one has a New York of the now time period vibe, right? So it's kind of changed, and they forgot what had the soul of the original. They had this in the original. It was kind of there was comedy, but there was also kind of this dramatic, suspenseful kind of thing that's happening underneath as they were building up tension towards, a fantastic third act, right? In this one, they wanted a lot. They seemed to want a lot more to just kind of have the story move along. And then once the third act happens or started happening, instead of being this kind of like, we're just going to use the intelligence that we've shown, the intelligence and the scrappiness and the capabilities that we have shown and built up through the entire movie. That's what happened in the original. Instead, they just decided to turn it into a superhero movie in the third act. The original Ghostbusters wasn't a superhero movie. That's one of the greatest betrayals, right? Like you said, BJ, there's nothing wrong inherently with any of the actors that were in this movie, or actresses, sorry, that were in this movie. It just seems like they weren't given the right script to work with. And it seems like they were a lot more dependent upon things like, action sequences and special effects to try to cover up the fact that they didn't have much in the writing, right? And also to cover up the fact that there was heart in this movie, but it was heart for the original. There was, love of the original movie, but not a lot of love for the movie that they're actually making. So That's why if they didn't love the movie that they were making, I certainly am not going to either. There, I'm getting off of my soapbox and handing it back over to you guys.
Okay.
I will be available for visceral, bile-filled reactions through the rest of this podcast.
Okay.
So I do want to bring up a couple of questions I wrote down in my notes while I was watching this last night, and maybe it's stuff that I just missed because, I was doing things on my phone because I was trying not to pause it every 5 minutes so that I could eventually finish the movie. But here's some questions I had at various points in this movie. So there's the part towards the end of the movie where they map out where they found like 4 or 5 of the devices, right?
Yeah.
Did they find some of these devices off screen? Because they only found like 3, right?
Probably.
Because there's the one in the subway, the one at the concert, and then the one at the hotel, right? Where's the other one they found?
They never found the one that was at the Haunted Mansion.
No.
And then all the other ones were just supposed ghost sightings that they had received off of the internet. Right? Because the internet is such a trustworthy, fountain of information, even in movies, especially in movies. You can always trust everything that's on the internet.
Well, but they had ley lines. Ley lines are a ghosty-like thing in a lot of other stories.
Yeah, yeah, like I get the ley line part, like, fine, there's ley lines. Those are a paranormal thing, sure, let's roll with that. But, okay, so outside, correct me if I'm wrong, during this entire movie, they trap, well, okay, I'm going to specify because technically at the end of the movie, they turned the rift into a giant ghost trap. Outside of the rift, they trap a ghost. Correct?
A singular.
They trap one ghost.
Yes, they trap the one at the concert, right?
Now, admittedly, BJ, they
didn't have a
they didn't have a long-term storage facility built in this movie. In the original Ghostbusters, that's one of the first things that was established. The proton packs, the traps, and then the long-term storage facility all were basically built simultaneously. How?
Okay.
From the money that they got from the...
Their stated goal in this movie is to trap a ghost and then research it to prove that they're not fakes.
Admittedly, I will grant that. You're right. They had different
they're
goals.
They're supposedly scientists.
Supposedly.
According to Wikipedia, 3 of them have doctor in front as a title. Not one of these scientists thought to themselves, we have a way of trapping said ghost in order to research it, but we don't have a way of storing said ghost. Which they solve in like a post-credit scene or during credit scene.
Which is yet another
because the post-credit
sad
scene,
cameo.
They tease Zool.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, because... okay, and like here's another thing that I had a question about. So the bad guy, right? Rowan, he's this, he's this misfit. He is anti-human. He thinks people are trash. He dies on purpose. He possesses the military, and then wait, not the military. He possesses the secretary, Chris Hemsworth character. When the regular police and I suppose National Guard try to stop him, he makes them all strike a pose. Why is this guy whose stated goal is to destroy mankind for the trash they are, why is he why is he suddenly all giddy once he has Chris Hemsworth's character?
Yep.
Why?
Why?
That seemed like a heck of a character shift.
Yeah.
Outside of, well, I guess we have Chris Hemsworth. He's funny. Let him be funny, I guess.
They don't really
Flying
establish
beefcake.
much. You know, the original villains in Ghostbusters were all scary. They were
The original
scary.
villain was Zool.
Zool was scary. And then Vigo.
An ancient Babylonian god.
Yeah. Yeah. And there
And
was
this one
a
it's some
feeling.
grumpy dude.
There was a feeling of, we don't know what this villain is really capable of. So you get that feeling of fear in the audience where Zool, he's going to chase down Rick Moranis, and you know, you have this feeling that they just have so much power, you don't quite know what they're up to and what they're going to be able to do. And
also,
there's nothing dark or scary about this villain, is what it is. He's kind of, he's evil, and he's disgruntled about society, so there's some motivation that they're giving to him. But there's not really any darkness. This was kind of supposed to be more of a family movie. Ghostbusters was a quirky, it was kind of a dark action, and there was comedy in it.
Not really action, Jeff. There's
Not so much
really
action, but it's hard to describe it.
This
but
one
it
is
definitely
the one
had
that had action in it.
And that's one of its greatest sins, in my opinion. In the original, all of the main cast were, all four of the main Ghostbusters were middle-aged men, or somewhere, men in their 30s or 40s, right? Kind of middle-aged dudes, and they were very honest about being middle-aged dudes. They put in a couple of weeks of hard work in the original run of Catching Ghosts, and you can tell they're all pretty tired, right? That's why they hired the fourth one, to try to ease the load amongst the four of them, or ease the load so that there'd be four of them to work with instead of three. But in this, it seems like they never are really honest about their characters, right? They don't want to be honest about these characters and who they are. I don't know why. They were honest about themselves in the first one, but they are not wanting to be honest about themselves in this one. And that's an egregious sin. And especially when they get into the third act and it turns into a superhero movie, and suddenly all of these middle-aged comedy women, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they're not superheroes, right? They don't look like superheroes, and they don't present as superheroes, and yet suddenly the movie is trying to tell me that they're superheroes. And these people who 3 academics and 1 every person are suddenly throwing ghosts around with proton packs.
And were
Kung
they
Fu style
killing the ghosts?
Yes.
They were destroying ghosts with proton
They straight up
packs.
said at one point, I killed a pilgrim. It's like, they're already dead.
Yeah. How does that work?
You
exactly?
used the photon pack to throw the ghost against the floor, and that killed, ? The ghost?
Yeah, what happens to the ghost at that point?
That is a question, Jeff, that sadly this movie does not answer.
The point of it is they wanted to make a Marvel movie. And
yes, they
the
did.
executives want a Marvel movie
because
they find writers that will give them a Marvel movie, and then everything progresses until we have this movie.
You have to acknowledge that when this was coming out, we're seeing Avengers 1 and I think Avengers 2 as well, and both of those are just movies that have made hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars at the box office. So from an executive point of view, it makes sense that whatever is coming out needs to copy that. And sadly,
it's wrong. But here's the thing. It's wrong
on every level.
It's wrong. But it makes sense of why they were thinking that way. But the problem is these executives may not be as savvy towards Hollywood type things, because to understand, this is what I have, the problem I had, I know I'm going to say it, the problem with Star Trek and other things is that Hollywood seems to take these things and it's like, okay, this is what the audience wants. They want Marvel. So let's take everything that's not Marvel and turn it into Marvel. Therefore, we will make money. And none of that works. You can't take something out of the original formula into a new formula and expect it to work correctly at that point. And the thing is like
staple something that doesn't belong there onto an already existing formula.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it doesn't either.
To be fair, I'm going to slightly disagree here. If you want them to have a big we're the hero moment, I'm okay with that if they earn it. They don't even have like a training montage or like a montage from like the original Ghostbusters where they spend a fair amount of time out there doing
catching
the
ghosts.
ghostbusting thing.
Yeah, they show that, and
so that they obviously get better at this. In this movie, they go from bumbling to all of a sudden to where like all of a sudden everybody is kung fu fighting.
Yeah. At no point does it show them in transition or gaining experience. They don't even play a 5-minute, as long as this movie was, they don't take 5 minutes to show a montage of them catching ghosts. Like you said, BJ, they catch a grand total of 1 ghost, which they promptly release.
Yes.
In one of the dumbest scenes that I've ever seen in my entire life. I feel stupider for having watched it. This whole movie has to be like that.
And speaking of length movie, Jeff, I have to ask, did you actually watch the what's it called? The
extended version?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Because the caveman brain in me was like, oh, watch the extended version. It's more.
Well,
more is always better.
BJ, to be fair, he did give it the highest score of all 3 of us. Maybe there is something in the extra however many minutes that makes it all suddenly better. Jeff, in those extra minutes, did they give us that montage of ghost busting?
No.
No. Okay.
No, they did not.
Did they do
there was
anything
a lot of
in
wonton
those
jokes, but
was there extra fart jokes?
There were more
fart jokes or wonton jokes or whatever kinds
of wonton jokes.
I don't know what they give you. How long is the original cut? Like hour and a half?
2 hours, 14
this one was
minutes.
Like the original cut was 2 hours?
I think that's the extended, Gary.
Yeah, the extended was like 2 that's and a little change.
Okay. Maybe the original is 2 hours and the 14 minutes is what Jeff got. I apologize to you, Jeff, for having to watch
I don't
extra
think there was
14
much.
minutes that you chose to do, but I still feel sorry for you having done that.
The extended might be better. I don't know. I would require more research, which I am not going to do. But I would to really get to the core of it, I think we did a good job describing things. It's just, if you want to turn something into an action movie, which is not always good, but if you really wanted to, at least give some likable characters. And I think that all of the people in this movie have an ability to make a character. It's just that
that's kind of what killed it for me, is that there's like flashes of likability.
Yeah,
throughout this movie.
There's flashes of ability, and when they started off the movie in that museum, the museum was kind of cool, I guess. There were times that
I almost liked these characters, and then they ruined it.
Yeah. I think the movie has potential. If they would have been less desperate to make every scene entertaining and just try to establish this is what this person's like, so that those attributes would play into their later lines in the movie. And if they weren't afraid to make the movie darker. And sometimes you don't want dark movies because people take their kids to Ghostbusters because that's a phenomenon where you have a dark, scary movie from the 80s and people are like, I watched it as a kid and it was all right, so I'll take my kids to this remake today. And so they try to make it more family friendly, but I think there's limits to how dark you want to make it, but I think an actual dark villain would have been better. Somebody who, and I don't know if maybe it was the bellboy was serving some sort of dark demon from another world or something. That would have been better than just him. You could have been like a henchman, which reminds me of Ghostbusters 2, because they had a guy who was like that. He was in the museum. Go ahead, BJ.
Oh no, I was going to say that. Another thing that made me scratch my head is that this. So, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the bad guy learned how to make all this stuff by reading the book the good guys published when they were younger. I think that's sort of the catalyst of them getting back together.
Yeah.
So if they're the ones that develop all this technology, why did they have to have Holtz over here, like, creating a new proton pack every other scene? You have the ghost grenade, you have the ghost vacuum. Someone who wrote the script played Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, they're trying to build up toys that they can use in their action scene later on, is what they're trying to do.
Okay, BJ.
Okay, go ahead. But I do have more to say on the subject, but go ahead, Gary.
Well, okay. Maybe I need to save this one for later then, because I was gonna make this comparison to another movie, but so I'm seeing, and I saw in this movie, so I remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about Street Fighter the movie, right? And I asked a BJ who did not like Street Fighter the movie about what, admitted Street Fighter the movie admittedly being a dumb movie. But I said at the time, and I'm willing to stand by that, so very willing to stand by that assessment, in that while the movie was dumb, it didn't have glaring plot holes all over the place. Now, it did have a few, and you pointed them out to me. This movie, on the other hand, has plot holes like that all over the place. Just plot hole left and right. It's just, if this was a road, I just would not want to drive down it, right? Unless I had like some sort of like super vehicle that could handle jostling everywhere. Anyways.
I need a tank to drive down this road.
Yes, I need a tank to drive down this road. It's so full of holes. Yes, oh gosh, how did they find all of the information? How did connections get made? Why are these people suddenly action heroes? Why do they need to make 1,000 things? Why did they need an engineer to build whatever they're doing if they already designed the devices and any old schmuck could just build them in his garage?
Well, they said basement. He was a smart guy. He was smart, but passed over and was never given any kind of credit for his genius. A smart person doesn't have the capability of building super high-tech devices, in their basement, if they're also the kind of person who is cleaning toilets. A person with that kind of capability, a person with that kind of capability would be working in, if he was working in like manufacturing or even, car maintenance, he got rejected.
Or some other kind of maintenance position or something along those lines. Like, where does he get his knowledge to build these complicated electronic devices if he's not, if he's has like zero capability of
they don't show that. They don't show him being. They should have shown him being smart somehow. Like, okay, he's a bellboy.
He's smart.
They should have. They tell us he's smart.
Ooh.
They should have
show us
shown
that
him
he's
like with all his books, or like he went to college but was thrown out because of some reason. Like he's rejected from society. Maybe
Yeah.
he was part of some great program in engineering somewhere, but then people made fun of him, and so he was offended and left. Something like that. I admit.
They could have shown
but
like
at the same
a
token,
news clipping, disgraced scientists, blah blah blah, or something along those lines. Instead, the
Right.
only
Or even
thing
if
that we
he
have
never-
outside of him being a villain is him cleaning toilets.
I know, but
And speaking as
smart
someone who-
people can clean toilets too. It's just that
I
he was
mean-
rejected, never got his chance, or something like that. But I
I'm-
admit they don't show anything enough. Okay.
As someone who is currently working housekeeping, I am not current. Cleaning toilets is not necessarily a
Yeah.
bad thing, but
You know, Nikola
but-
Tesla was
but-
digging ditches at one point in his career.
But I also don't
Let's
have-
keep that in mind.
but I also don't have enough practical engineering experience to build complex devices on my own based off a description in a book.
Yes, that's my point.
Yeah, I don't think that's as dramatic as a plot hole, because I don't buy it as much, because it is plausible. It's plausible he was a
It's not
super
necessarily
genius.
a plot hole, but it's not good writing.
No, I
It's-
think
it's-
I agree with that. It does need something to establish him more. It does feel empty. I completely agree. There should be something more to this guy beyond he's upset. But they should show more about why he's upset. Like what thing happened in his life that made him change? Because villains, there's this, I don't remember where I heard this from, but there's this phrase, whereas the difference between villains and heroes is that both of them have tragedies in their past, but what makes them different is what they decide to do about it. Like with the Batman villains, they turn to madness and chaos and revenge, whereas Batman also has a tragedy, but the difference is he then goes out and tries to keep other people from having tragedy. His method to resolve the problem is to go out and to help people not be victims, to stop the cycle, to bring justice. Whereas the villains, they also have tragedy, and their motive afterwards is just revenge. So I think this movie kind of got close to that plot point of character development, because when they interact with him, they're trying to, there's a line that one of the Ghostbusters delivers that's like, we have problems too. People don't like us. We get treated like garbage by people, but like he has also been treated like garbage from people. But the difference is we'd still like the world. I think that's generally kind of what they said, which is a good thing that they could have built upon. But anyway, go ahead.
They don't show that either, by the way. They don't show him being treated like garbage. They don't show them being treated like
They
garbage
kind
either.
of do. The one guy on the radio calls him weirdo or freak or whatever because
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
that's
he does
because
walk
he's
around
got a
muttering about straightening the vortex or something like that.
yeah, but that just means he's got a sucky boss. Guess what? Join the club.
Now,
but
it
and,
is,
and it doesn't show them being rejected by society. Okay, it shows the one girl losing tenure. Guess what? It also establishes that the people who she was trying to get tenure with were very, very serious people, and she was presenting evidence of a not very serious academic. They also showed the other people losing, not being supported by their university, and that's because their university was a clown show that definitely didn't have the funds to support their line of inquiry, right? So there's very reasonable and logical reasons for these people to be, treated the way they are, and yet they're acting like they're the most oppressed people in the entire world. I just don't buy it.
People
I don't
sometimes
get it.
think that way. Yeah.
Yes.
What I also didn't like is that in the original Ghostbusters, it's normal to have some sort of bureaucrat or somebody who is, it's not so much, they're a villain, but they're a villain because they really just don't believe in what the Ghostbusters are doing. And like
There's
Walter
always
Peck.
a Walter Peck, yeah.
Yes, but Walter Peck was a serious person. And the government guys they have in this movie are just clowns. They're not serious at all. And the thing is like, I'm not against clowns, especially when you're making a comedy. Of course you need clowns, but there are places to put silliness where it doesn't help the overall story. And having the mayor be an idiot and the government people doing slapstick comedy where they can't get into the right vehicle to make some sort of in-your-face getaway, like all of that clowning, I think it doesn't show a real threat.
You're right, Jeff.
Like Walter Peck was a real threat that legitimately was going to take away resources from them and shut them down and shut down the reactor. And his threats were all real threats that were endangering their business. So anyway, go ahead.
And the government response in the original movie was very serious, right? You saw what genuinely looked like a crisis center forming in the middle of the mayor's office as he's trying to deal with the situation that was in front of him. He had all of the most responsible people. He even called his priest in because everything was going to hell and he needed all hands on deck, and that included his priest to come and pray for them.
Yeah.
So it was you believed that
like,
situation at that point.
I think it was a cardinal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that. So the mayor was an intelligent guy. He was serious about solving the problem. He wasn't a slapstick clown that didn't matter at all. And this is the difference. They tried to make this into a 100% comedy that at the same time just wasn't funny. If they had followed the original Ghostbusters actual formula a little better, they might have been able to make that work, but I don't know.
Well, to go back to what I want to talk about before, in the vein of bad writing, so like the third thing I wrote down in my notes was, so I guess crossing the streams is not a thing in this movie, because they're like running around and like they're just like standing right next to each other, blasting away ghosts, like shooting over each other, and like, so in Ghostbusters...
Well, they cross the streams in the end, right?
No,
Maybe
they don't.
It might have been the extended version, but they cross the streams in the end.
Okay, then...
The one I saw, but...
Okay, then yes, that was in the extended version, because in the theatrical release, all they do is they lose the Ecto-1 like practically immediately, and one of the characters is gonna try to shoot the ghost off, and the host is like, no, stop, there's basically a nuclear device on top of the car, so that would be a bad idea. They never establish why they needed a nuclear device on top of the Ecto-1 outside of the fact that, oh, it turns out the thing that solves the big portal problem is, oh, let's shoot the nuclear device as the Ecto-1 drives into the portal. Whereas, in Ghostbusters, they established the fact that, oh, crossing the streams is a bad idea really early on. And then at the end of the movie, oh, crossing the streams is the last resort. And by doing this, it is more likely than not a heroic sacrifice to save the town, the city, the world, whatever, because we have to cross the streams to stop Zool. Whereas
it's
in this one,
good establishment and a good payoff. Yep.
And and again, maybe they go in, maybe in the extension they say, oh, crossing streams is bad, but like in this one, they don't even use the proton. They don't even use the regular proton packs that often, because they immediately upgrade to like their little handgun ghost zapper thingies or whatever.
Yeah, it turns into a shootout. It turns into a Call of Duty shootout. with ghosts.
Yeah, turns into a hero movie.
Which, again, I would be okay with if they earned it. They don't earn their hero moment. But
I wouldn't be okay with it because I think it's just garbage.
Well, and yes, ergo, there's some disagreement here. I would be more okay with it if they at least went through the motions of justifying why these people are suddenly kung fu fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't have, shown Melissa McCarthy walking out of a kung fu, a karate dojo, bowing to her master at some point.
There's a montage in the original movie. Just montage it. Do something to establish the fact these people have gained skills.
They couldn't have shown, what's her name? What's her name?
Patty?
Leslie Jones. They couldn't have shown Patty in like a women's boxing gym. They couldn't have shown the other two, at the very minimum playing video games, like VR video games where they're having to swing stuff around. Gosh.
Or just having an awkward battle as well. The whole thing just didn't work. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You have to number one, like the characters. Characters have to be something beyond just spastic people who just exist to make unrelated comedy on screen that isn't all that funny. And then you have to have some sort of actual villain and that you can build a storyline off of. And in the end, it all comes down to you've got to really sit down and actually enjoy these scenes. These scenes don't connect with each other very well, and they just there's nothing really to like about it. So I'm not trying to say it shouldn't have been made into a comedy, but if they don't have all the comedic things in place, it just doesn't work. Like, comedies have a comedy storyline. They have a situation that they build on. They have straight characters so that the comedy gets accentuated. It just doesn't work to have these tiny little slapstick stuff. And there's little jokes, like if they're going to do a wonton joke where she never gets the right amount of wontons in her soup, it's fine. It's fine to have those in there. But there's just so many other things this movie was lacking. So much. Yeah, and most comedies, if you're going to make a comedy movie, you're not going to have every last thing in the movie be comedy. It's not going to be, we're going to laugh continually through the whole thing. There's going to be moments where you then establish something or have a character who can react to something that's not a clown. Yeah. Anyway.
If you want to have an action movie, which they obviously wanted this in part to be, you need to have a villain worth taking action against.
Yes, well said.
And
you need a threatening villain.
And when everybody's comedy relief, you don't have that. Yes.
It really doesn't understand, the movie doesn't understand, is it a comedy? Is it an action movie? Is it a suspense movie? Is there mystery? What are we trying to do? It kind of doesn't really accomplish any of those different genres very well. So anyway, but if I were changing it, which I obviously will never get any opportunity, but if some future person wants to reboot Ghostbusters, which eventually all classic movies will get rebooted, there's always more opportunistic money, I guess. It would be more like that, like have comedy, but have it a dark plot and have characters that are people who don't fit into the world, who then find a place through becoming a Ghostbuster. And that's like the original cast. They were professors thrown out of their university. Like, what do we do? This was all that we had, and we've lost everything. Venkman goes, this is fate. Let's go into business for ourselves. Let's start the next chapter. And So they find them,
almost
they find
like,
meaning through becoming Ghostbusters. And there's sorry, Gary, go ahead.
it's almost like, Jeff, some other enterprising people might have thought exactly along the lines that you were thinking and tried to do it again, this time much more successfully, in a different movie. My guess
Yes, I haven't seen the other Ghostbusters movie.
If you, Jeff, had chosen the nice door option, maybe we would have watched that movie. Am I right, BJ?
No.
No.
No?
What was the other
No.
option?
Honestly, I forgot what the good option was. The neutral option was 98 Godzilla.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I would still like that movie as an older person when I enjoyed it as a teenager. But honestly, I can't remember what the good option was. Oh,
So
I remember
anyways.
now. The good option was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
Y'all
movie.
could have watched
Okay.
a good movie, but Jeff chose evil.
I chose evil.
Yes, Jeff, you chose evil.
So-
Let that be a
anyways.
lesson to me. Okay.
So Jeff, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just gonna say I'm at the end of my rope here on this one, so whenever you
Well,
guys want to wrap it up.
Jeff's rant inspired me to ask him the impossible question. Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
if, say, some super powerful Hollywood type has stumbled on the podcast and he has heard you talk and he comes to you and says, "Hey, I have enough money to let you remake one franchise. Do you try to save Star Wars or do you try to save Ghostbusters?"
Which one do I try and save?
Yes.
I can only save one.
You get to make either the Star Wars movie of your dreams or the Ghostbuster movie of your dreams, but not both.
I would make
You
the
have to
Star
choose
Wars
one.
movie of my... I'd choose Star Wars.
Can't say I'm surprised, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Although the Ghostbusters one would be good too. I've already mentioned things that I'd want in a Ghostbusters
In my humble
movie,
opinion, my Ghostbusters movie would be awesome.
in my opinion. In reality, in the real life, I'd be like, oh no, we're 100 million over budget. We still... and the script has so many rewrites. It would be a disaster. It would be a managerial disaster. But
Tell them to stop using computer
in my
graphics and
brain,
more
it would be
practical effects.
perfect. I know. Get rid of all those computerized effects. But they wanted to make several movies. They show that in the teaser. They wanted this to be a whole thing and probably have like 3 films together or something. But that's not going to happen. The audience predominantly
happen.
hated this. We're not alone. Nearly everybody didn't like it. And people now Hollywood is like, well, you can't swap genders on roles. The audience doesn't like it, which is not true. It's just that there's fundamental reasons why this movie didn't work, and we've hashed out through all those.
So, according to Wikipedia, so take it as you will, they did plan on making a sequel, but due to the mediocre performance of this movie in the box office, they chose not to.
Yeah.
That would do it. It's always about money.
Yes.
People being
I mean,
angry at something
yes.
is one thing, but people just... Apathy is a much more powerful tool to use against something than hatred. Because hatred, people will go and watch it so that they can hate it. But apathy is much more of a, I'm just not going to go see it because it's not worth my time. And it wasn't worth enough people's time that the executives decided it's not worth the time and money to try to continue it.
I mean, I didn't see it until last night, and it came out 9 years ago.
I thought they would do something with the opening scene. Like there's a guy who's being attacked by a ghost and he's barely hanging on and the stairs collapse, and then we just cut away to the next thing. There's nothing that builds off of that.
No, Jeff, they do build something on that. They build like a minute-long joke about whether or not he pooped himself.
Yes, Jeff.
Yes,
It was
that's
all
true.
for a
I
poop
stand
joke.
corrected. That was a great payoff. Okay.
No. Okay.
I think we need to stop before you drive Gary insane.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
I wish to discontinue this unenjoyable experience so that I can have a very enjoyable experience.
Yes. So, in case y'all missed it, we do not recommend Ghostbusters 2016. So much so that I think we had a single tangent this entire conversation. We were laser focused on why this movie was bad.
Laser focused on our hatred and vitriol of this pathetic attempt at a sad cash grab of a beloved IP.
I know. And in the end,
Gary,
none
don't
of us felt unity over New York, which is the whole point of Ghostbusters, is in the end to love New York and to have all the people come out and cheer.
I think that's more Ghostbusters 2.
Yes, but Ghostbusters 1 did have a lot of people who came together. But yes, Ghostbusters 2 is more direct. This is supposed to be like a proud New York movie. I've heard that... Go ahead.
I don't understand how the average person... How did everyone secretly know that the Ghostbusters saved the city? Like, what proof was there outside of, like, one news guy saying, did the Ghostbusters save the city? We don't know. Why would the news think that? I don't know.
Yeah. Just let it go, BJ.
I'm BJ.
Stop thinking about it.
I don't know. With me is Jeff, who also doesn't know, and Gary, who doesn't know so much he wants to stop thinking about. See you in a couple of weeks when we talk about something else. I'm gonna fall in the portal, and then either Gary or Jeff will strap on a surprisingly long safety rope, which is just sitting there for reasons and jumping. Why was the safety rope? Why is this random safety rope that's sitting there like a mile long?
In case they have to go into the netherworld and retrieve
Why
somebody
is there
heroically.
this random safety line in the middle of a New York street? Is there a lot of people rappelling in New York?
I've never been to New York. I'm going to say yes. There's a lot of people rappelling in New York. It's how they collect the garbage. They jump off of buildings, rappel down, pick up the garbage off the street. And I'm not going to end that sentence.
We'll see you next time, folks.